he still wants to play or produce at a high level. But obviously, if they're drafting this kid in the first round, RG3 has to know that he's the future. He's the guy that they want in there to lead this team eventually. So, and Flacco's on top of that there, and he's the main guy. So RG3 has to understand his place, that he's number 3 on the depth chart. All he can do is perform well in the preseason, and if Lamar Jackson's not ready, maybe even come in case something happens to Flacco. But they did this because they knew that RG3, being a similar player, being an African-American quarterback in the NFL, there's so many similarities to these two players that I think that it's more so they brought him in to be able to pick off of each other, see each other, and more so Lamar Jackson to see Alpha RG3 what it's like to be an NFL pro with the same style and how he can change little bits of his game to improve and take it to the next level. But I get where you're coming from. As far as the other players, the other quarterbacks that were drafted, Sam Darnold, number 3 to the Jets, I agree, is a match made in heaven. I think that he doesn't have to start right away, even though I think he's probably the most pro-ready out of any of these quarterbacks to play right away. He's got a pro there in McCown to teach him the ropes, and I think McCown is by far one of the best guys in the NFL to do so because he's been a journeyman his whole career. He's been through it. He's seen different locker rooms, seen different dynamics, played at different levels. To really show this young guy what it's like to be a professional, and he obviously knows that this kid's going to eventually take his spot one day. There's nothing he can do about it. He was the number 3 pick in the draft, but he can help this kid produce for the rest of his career. So I like that. And then when it comes to Josh Rosen getting drafted by Arizona, I like it. I mean, I've never been a huge Rosen guy. I still think he's good. I think he can be very good at the NFL level if he doesn't, I don't know, if he doesn't get the pressure of being rushed by the pass rushers in the NFL, and he doesn't let it get to him. I think he can flourish in the NFL, but we saw what he did at some of the games when it came to being in NCAA. When pressure, he kind of crumbled. I really hope that was just like a fluke thing because in the NFL, he's going to be pressured all the time. I worry about him in that regard. I still think he has the on-the-field attributes you look for in a quarterback, and I think he could be a great player going forward. And you saw him at the draft. He fell as far as he did. He did not think he was going to be falling all the way to Arizona where they drafted him. But as far as this draft class goes, when it comes to quarterbacks, to see as many quarterbacks as we did, 5 in the first round,
yep.
It's a testament to how good this class was when it comes to quarterbacks that we've seen in the last few years, but also a testament to, it's a changing of the guard when it comes to the NFL. This is how many teams needed quarterbacks in the NFL, and some teams didn't even get their quarterback. So I think it's going to be refreshing to see all these guys come in, and we'll see what they can do come Sunday.
Yeah, no, and to your point about Josh Rosen being pissed off about being number 10, and there was this, big media backlash. Oh, you shouldn't have said that. I forget who it was. The former Lions executive who now works for ESPN, who was saying if I were
Millen.
What was that?
Millen.
No, not Millen. Another Detroit guy. I did not see Millen. Matt Millen has not.
What happened to Matt Millen?
I don't know. He's probably running some minor league football team somewhere and bringing them into the ground.
Because if you use WalterFootball.com, they use him as the guide of what not to do.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
Millen would have drafted a punter here first overall, so don't do that.
Exactly.
So Charles Rogers, he's still going to pan out to be that top wide receiver. Louis Riddick. That's what I'm thinking of. I think
Louis Riddick.
Yeah. So they asked him on the SVP Sports Center what he thought about Josh Rosen's comments about, there were 9 mistakes made ahead of me. And he's just like, I don't like it. I don't think, guys should be talking. They should be this is not a talking league. This is a playing league. Okay. First off, he just got drafted. What do you expect him to play? How did he exactly break your oath of playing first and talking second when he hasn't got the chance to play yet? That doesn't really make a whole ton of sense. And I just think this whole ethos of the NFL, like, oh, it's, 53 men and no one man is bigger than the team, and, no egos allowed, and yada, yada, yada. And let's, especially rookies have to know their place, and you can't ever upstand a veteran and be bigger than the team and be bigger than the coach. It makes me just cringe when I hear that continual theme just pervade by guys like Louis Riddick and the other NFL media and NFL coaches and whoever and who else. Because, first off, look, the NFL is an entertainment product. Yes, it's a sporting league. Yes, it's competitive. Yes, people want to have any edge up on the competition they can. And if you can make everyone be quiet, all of the Patriots, at least pretty much all Patriots except for Rob Gronkowski, if you can make them not talk to the media and not have quote unquote, whiteboard material to inspire other teams, and all the better. One, I don't think guys writing things on the whiteboard saying, oh, well, I think, Sam Darnold's a crappy QB, and all of a sudden Sam Darnold's like, oh, all right, I'm going to try this week, guys. I'm going to really try to beat those guys' butts because they said I'm not very good. If you're not motivated enough to play your best every single week, at least definitely in football, we have 16 games in a season. Obviously football would not be the sport for you if you really need that locker room talk material. But two, using the Baltimore Ravens as an example. So I said, everything is like, oh, no egos allowed. No one's bigger than the team. When the Baltimore Ravens traded up to draft Lamar Jackson, pretty much the first thing you saw was, at least that popped up on my phone, was they asked John Harbaugh, like, okay, so what's going on in the quarterback situation? He says, our quarterback is Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco's our quarterback. No one's going to pass him up, blah, 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 blah. And then he had some, nice words for the potential of Lamar Jackson. But the only reason he had to say that is to soothe the ego of Joe Flacco. So to say that the NFL has no egos allowed and there's nothing that you can do that is bigger than the team, we see it all the time, especially with quarterbacks and definitely with coaches. These egos are so high and it's so driven in this league that this league is really run by the egos of the people in power. And these rookies, for whatever reason, are told that they have to suppress their personality out of some strange, ghostly fear that it's going to inspire the rest of the world to make them a bad football team. Hey, if a team beats you in a football game, it's not because your rookie quarterback said there were 9 mistakes made in front of me. It's because you guys suck. It's because you guys didn't play well enough that week. If you really think that Josh Rosen's saying, the team's 1 through 9 made a mistake in front of me, and then you play that team in the regular season, and then that team says, oh, we beat them because Josh Rosen said bad things about us, then it is an absolute, that part is a lie. It is just a total fabrication. Look, this is all entertainment. We all like the fact that Josh Rosen said this. I mean, fans, at least, I like the fact that he said that. If you're a fan of if you're an Arizona Cardinal fan, maybe you're thinking, well, I don't like a guy that's cocky. I want him to be more humble whatsoever. But to come out and say that the Arizona Cardinals should be upset with their quarterback for saying guys in front of him were mistakes, it's just, to me, it has this culture of, this is like a moving machine that is just so cut and dry, so bland, so black and white, and so blasé that there's no room for anyone to have a soul or a personality outside of what the machine, and that's the machine that the coach and the coaching staff say you can do. To me, I really think it decreases the product of the NFL. You look at the NBA and really how it's the ascending sport in the United States of America. I mean, football, look, it has its different things for why it was down last year, the whole protest thing that some people did not like, and so on and so forth. But the NBA, I don't think anyone can argue, does the best at marketing its players and marketing its players into people that you want to root for, whether they're on your team or not. And for the NFL and its brass to all of a sudden just latch on to a kid who made some competitive comments in the moment saying that this is bad for his team and bad for the NFL, it speaks to a very outdated way of thinking to me, and I think it's one of the reasons why the NFL has started slowing down its growth and why the NBA's growth has risen.
Yeah, and I get all that, and it's a no fun league for a reason, it's supposed to be blue collar. This is how it is. This is how it's always been. This is how things will go. The only sport worse than that is baseball.
Yes.
Baseball won't get out of their own way to change anything. No matter what it benefits or how good it'll be, they won't change anything because 1,000 years ago when players were playing with a cricket bat, it's like they literally will not help themselves out. And that's why it's the most boring sport to watch on TV. Well,
hot take.
Maybe not as much as tennis, but we're going off on a tangent.
Whoa.
This is why the NFL, it's a conundrum. It doesn't allow you to be the player that you want to be. It doesn't allow you to be a free thinker. And I get it. Rosen said some comments, but I like that feistiness. And people might, well, you like that feistiness, but you don't like Baker Mayfield being, kind of like that off the field or, during games. I like that about him. I like that about both these guys. I just don't think when it comes to, 30, late 20s, early 30s, mid 30-year-old men in a locker room, for some 21-year-old kid to come in here and start acting like that and grabbing his junk and saying the things he's saying, I don't think they want an older man or like an older player doesn't want a young kid acting like he's the boss coming right into the league. Like, I just don't see that. I get it. It's a quarterback. They want a leader. And I don't think Rosen's attitude was so much in the way of, these guys suck, I'm better than everyone type thing. I think he's such a outspoken person that I think that he was more saying, like, I know I'm better than these guys. I know I can play better. That's why I'm pissed, because I think I'm the best player in this draft. This is why I should have been drafted higher. I think it came across as, those guys suck.
Yeah.
This is so stupid. I'm pissed. I think that's how it is. I think it was more of a fiery statement than it was a prissy statement.
Sure. Yeah.
So for me, I get it. I understand it. I know why people have their things against it, but I also see that that's going to translate more to the NFL than stuff that Baker Mayfield does, his antics on the field or off the field.
Bob, we've talked most about quarterbacks so far in this draft. Are there any steals or just picks in the first round besides Saquon Barkley? Because obviously Saquon Barkley, you already talked about how you think he's the best player in the draft, and I think that's pretty much consensus all around. Is there someone in the first round or even in later rounds that you saw picked that is going to be a huge help for a team, either this year or become like a superstar type player?
That's a really good question. I'm having to think off the top of my head.
Sure,
but
I can give you mine.
You give yours because I had one and I just lost it. So go ahead.
All right, two guys. I'm going to give two guys that I think are going to be excellent players. And they were drafted pretty high, so it's not like a huge reach. But one is going to be the next great linebacker for the Chicago Bears, and that's Roquan Smith from Alabama. I think he is an absolute beast. I really wanted the Raiders to get him back when I was still a 100% Raiders fan, like a 55% Raiders fan now. One, because they're going to Vegas, and two, because they cut my favorite punter ever in Marquette King. Anyways, Roquan Smith, I think he can do literally everything the Bears need him to do. I think the Bears are going to be very, very good on defense next year, and it really just depends on how Mitchell Trubisky plays on offense for the Bears, whether they can challenge. Look, I don't think they're going to challenge the Vikings for supremacy in the NFC North, but their defense is going to be very good. I think their defense could very well be top 10, and I think Roquan Smith would be a big part of that. And then I also really love, and okay, obviously it's a little cliche, two Alabama Crimson Tide members being picked high and me saying it's a good pick, but the Dolphins getting Minkah Fitzpatrick at safety at number 11. Dolphins, they need a lot of help everywhere, and with Jay Cutler now retiring the second time, I don't know if Jay Cutler is going to be looking back on the fact that he could have been a broadcaster, came out of retirement to play for the Dolphins and not do much, and then go to retire again. I don't know if he's getting that broadcasting spot back or not. If he doesn't, bad look for smoking Jay Cutler. But Minkah Fitzpatrick fills a big hole for the Dolphins, who obviously lost Ndamukong Suh and some guys from last year's team. So they have some holes to fill beyond that. But I think having a guy like Minkah Fitzpatrick who can do everything in the defensive secondary, is going to be very big for a team in the Dolphins that will probably be rebuilding. So those are the top two guys, and maybe